What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So I was reading a few articles just talking about the potential of us falling into a recession. And the potential right now is saying that we're likely to fall into a recession. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. And we're gonna talk about Social Security and retirees because they're going to be impacted in a different way when it comes to a recession. And so we're going to talk about that in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So it says how recession affects retirees and people on Social Security. Okay, the first area to focus on is prices may still go up. Even if we're in a recession, prices can still rise, or at least stay where they were when we dropped into a recession. So if they were already high, let's say you go to the grocery store and the price of certain items are, it's high. They're not necessarily going to go down. You might have companies that will be, it'll slow our economy down. So you have companies that will be going under and people being laid off, but the prices might stay about the same in some areas. And so don't think that if there's a recession, it means that prices are going to drop. And, because realistically, if you have less people in the workforce, that's less people that are purchasing products, but that doesn't guarantee that those prices are going to go down. When we're looking at the housing industry and some of these other areas, prices might not go down. They might actually go up. And so as it states here, cost of essentials like food and rent can increase, straining budgets. And so we can be in a recession and you're going to be struggling even more, because you might not be able to afford rent. You might not be able to afford a lot of things because some people might not even have a job, and some people who are retired and living on a fixed income, you might not have the means or the desire to go back to work. Okay, next area here, savings and investments shrink. So if you have a 401k, if you have an IRA, if we're looking at a situation where we fall into a recession and the stock market really tanks and your 401k is impacted by that, then guess what? You're going to have less money. And so if you're retired, you're living on a fixed income, your 401k, you lose $50,000 in your 401k, that's $50,000 that you could have used in your retirement. You no longer have it. Now you might be able to regain some of that back, but it could take 5 to 10 years. And if it takes that long, what are you going to do in the meantime? And so that is one of the real big problems that we're seeing right now when it comes to tariffs and the fact that you have experts saying that we could fall into a recession. If we fall into a recession, that is going to be really, really bad for people who are receiving Social Security benefits and people who are retired. Okay, next area here, harder to find work or extra income. Now, I talked about work before. Some people might, if you're retired, you might not even want to go back to work. You might not have any desire to do that, but you might be forced to do it if you don't have the money. If you're looking at your 401k continuing to lose money, you might say, hey, I need a job. I need to do some type of work. But the only problem is if we're in a recession, it's going to be hard to find work because a lot of companies will be downsizing. They're going to be laying people off. Some companies will go under and they'll no longer be here. And so it's going to be hard to find work, especially if it's like part-time work. You might really struggle to find something if you need extra money. And so that's going to be something else that's going to impact people who are retired and receiving Social Security benefits. Okay, the last area here. Now, Social Security will stay. So you'll still be able to receive your Social Security benefits. That's if we don't see politicians start to try to make cuts to Social Security benefits. So if we're in a recession, you're still going to receive those benefits. Now, you might struggle because of your 401k, as I talked about. You might have less money coming from your 401k or other retirement plans that you have set up. But when it comes to Social Security, you'll still be receiving your Social Security benefits as long as we still have enough money to put into Social Security. And when I say that, I'm talking about the trust funds. So we could see a situation where we have less people in the workforce, and I talked about this in a previous video, but we have less people in the workforce, which means less people contributing to FICA, which means less money going to the Social Security Administration to pay out benefits. That means that they have to rely more heavily on the trust funds. And right now we have about $2.6 trillion in the trust funds. And right now they're saying in about 8 years, the trust funds will be completely depleted. But if we're in a recession, the trust fund is going to deplete much faster because you have less people contributing to FICA. If you have less people contributing to FICA, that means they're going to have to pull more and more money from the trust funds. And so although right now, as it stands, if we fall into a recession right now, you'll still be able to receive your benefits at 100%. However, in let's say 5 years. Let's say it's expedited. The trust fund is expedited. It's no longer 8 years. Now it's 5 years. In 5 years, you could see a reduction in your Social Security benefits, and this is across the board for everyone, of about 23%. And so that's the reality there. So although right now it's good if we do fall in a recession, you'll still be able to receive your benefits. But if they don't reform Social Security and we're in a recession, we could be looking at a cut across the board for people receiving Social Security benefits. And then also the cost of living adjustment might be lower. If we're in a recession, and let's say the prices do drop or stay about the same, and we're looking at a CPI, Consumer Price Index, of 2% or lower, we could be in a situation where you don't see a large cost of living adjustment at all. And I stated this before, the cost of living adjustment generally doesn't keep up with inflation anyway. And so if let's say you get a cost of living adjustment of 1.5%, but let's say inflation fluctuates from 2% to 3%, it keeps going up and down. But your cost of living adjustment was 1.5%. So your purchasing power is still less than what it should be. And we see that a lot. We're seeing that right now. And so the current situation that we're looking at right now, when it comes to the potential of going into a recession, that is going to be really bad for people who are retired and people who are receiving Social Security benefits. It's going to mean people are going to really suffer, and some people might have to go back to work. They might not have a choice. And so I want to know what you guys think about this, so let me know in the comments below. Remember, you can send me an email, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video if you like it, subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.